Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, you muted, sir.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. A very good morning to our Vice Chancellor, sir, Director, Madam, and respected participants. I, Dr. Satyajit Chaudhary, welcoming you all in this 5 days short-term training program on research methodology basics. I hope that this program will help us to redefine our knowledge platform specifically for research purpose. Thanks to our Vice Chancellor, sir, and Director, Madam, for their support and encouragement. I believe that we get seasoned under the mentorship and guidance of our Vice Chancellor, sir, and Director, Madam, in future also. Let's all stand for our Institute prayer.
Yam Shiva Sampasane Shivati Brahmini Vidatino Padha Buddhi Pramana Patava Kariti Nayayika Arhan Riddha Jai Sarada Karmiti Nivasata Soyam Dhatu Vajita Phalam Trayukyanathu Hari Trayukyanathu Hari Trayukyanathu Hari He Jagatrata Vishwavidhata He Sukha Shanti Niketanji He Jagatrata Vishwavidhata He Sukha Shanti Niketanji प्रेम के सिंधु दीन के बंधु दुख दारिद्र विनाशन जी हे जग त्राता विश्व विधाता हे सुख शांति निकेतन जी नित्य अखंड अनंत अनादि पूर्ण ब्रह्म सनातन नित्य अखंड अनंत अनादि पूर्ण ब्रह्म सनातन जग आश्रय जगपति जगवंदन अनुपम अलख निरंजन प्राण सखा त्रिभुवन प्रतिपालक जीवन के अवलंबन हे जग त्राता विश्व विधाता हे सुख शांति निकेतन हे जग त्राता विश्व विधाता हे सुख शांति निकेतन
Thank you. Now I request our Director, Madam, to inspire us with her encouraging words.
Thank you.
Madam.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev. A very good morning, warm good morning to all of you present here, and a special good morning and welcome to our Vice Chancellor, sir. I know sir has been very busy since morning and sir has still made out time to be with us. And we all are very eager to hear from sir about the research, the importance of research. Sir has spoken on various fronts, and we know, especially I myself have been lucky to hear sir on this. And sir's emphasis on research and its role in teaching has been very motivating. And here I want to inform sir with great your kind intervention, sir. We have got 4 scholars have opted for Lalpur in computer science and 2 from management. So that is a great start for us, sir. And your thanks for also allowing us to have the institute fellows if the marks permit. So thank you very much for your kind guidance and support. And I now invite you, sir, to preside over a function and give us your encouraging words. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bhattacharya, and very good morning to all the colleagues from Lalpur Center and participants of this particular short course. I think we are all aware, even if it sounds prosaic, but still, let me repeat that without new knowledge, the society becomes a fossil. So while we always demand better facilities, better amenities, more safety, more security, and so on and so forth, obviously higher salary, all these are going to be possible only when we keep pace with the changing scenario, be it in technology front or in social front, in defense, in aviation, in transportation, everywhere. And in order not to be left out, in order to be very much aware of and completely be commensurate with the changing scenario in the society, we have to be part of an overall exercise that adds knowledge to the existing body of understanding in the society. And this applies to all subject domains, not just engineering, not computer science, or not just BIT MESRA, all institutions, all subject domains across the globe. Now, why is it so important? It's absolutely important and essential because if we see the landscape from the very primordial time, the very primitive days when the first ever discovery possibly was to be able to light a fire or chisel a stone into the shape of a weapon, or even inventing the wheel, compared to that, you don't have to go that far, but even just a few hundred years ago, compared to that, today the society is in a very different situation altogether. Only about 2 years ago, we again encountered a cycle which happened nearly 100 years ago, a major global pandemic. And today, I mean, not even a year ago, I would say that 2020, early 2020, the pandemic struck, and by the end of the year, we were reeling, and nobody knew when would we see the normal time again. And today, after about 2 years, we certainly can say that we have a fair amount of control over the situation, if not have completely won the battle already. What it means is that the human endeavor always takes us to the next level, the next step, and certainly make a positive progress. So in order to sustain this, not only make it happen, but in order to sustain this, we have to create a mentality where education always looks forward. While history looks backward and chronicles all the developments, but science and technology in particular always looks forward and looks for specific hurdles, impediments, so that we can define the challenges and eventually overcome. So there comes the need of being methodical or approaching the problem methodically. I think the deliberations for the next 5 days, what we are going to have on research methodology, essentially will train you towards that. And this is an exercise which is not for the first time, which is not happening for the first time. This is an exercise which we repeat at regular interval so that newer crop of people, the ones who are joining the profession, who have joined recently or would have attended a similar workshop long time ago, they actually get their ideas renewed through such an exercise. So in research, the first and foremost objective is to be able to define the problem. And we often say that a problem defined is half the problem solved. So what it simply means is that when we wish to pursue a particular challenge, either in electrical engineering or mechanical engineering, or not necessarily in engineering beyond something related to the society, maybe societal aspects, maybe agricultural aspects, maybe food security or military security, whatever it is. The first and foremost task is to be able to define the problem. And in order to define the problem, we must also identify what is the boundary of the problem. I mean, what in numerical situation, one says the definition of the boundary condition. I would say similarly the boundary of the problem. That is it confined to only the city of Ranchi, or it is applicable to the state of Jharkhand or beyond, or is it only the physical boundary that matters, or is human psychology, human mentality involved? So all these factors come into the play. And once we have defined the problem that this is something which is not yet known or not yet understood or not yet implemented, then we now want to make an attempt to solve that. And in order to do that, we don't want to repeat something which has already been done before. There may be a certain amount of repetitions required just to make sure that the attempt was logical and appropriate. But generally, the next step, of course, will be to define what is already known, so that you don't have to waste your efforts in identifying the facts which are already established. So that's why typically in a thesis, you always see a chapter devoted to what is known as literature survey or current status of understanding or somewhat similar. And how we approach is something where lies the real ingenuity of the researcher. By researcher, I mean the team, both the researcher, the student, scholar, and the supervisor. Because there's no unique way that a problem can be solved. There are multiple ways you can approach a problem. And you always would like to, you don't want to waste a lot of time going round and round and also to say beating around the bush, and then eventually you arrive at the final point, but maybe you would have wasted a lot of time in between. So then comes the next thing, and that's where the methodology part comes very handy. That you approach you define a problem, you establish the current status of understanding, then you know exactly to what extent is known or already established and what is still a gap. And then in order to approach the gap, you try to create a methodology. And this is where you make sure that you can actually screen out a lot of unnecessary steps. Then whatever results come out, see, basically, I'm sure all of us would agree that the difference between research and a laboratory experiment is something, in simple words, is the difference between a numerical problem in a standard textbook, the solution for which is already available at the end of the textbook. So we know exactly if I apply so much of voltage, I should expect this much of a current, or if I have this circuit, then this should be the power factor, or this should be the heating component, and so on and so forth. So the answer of that is already known. Whereas in research, you are dealing with a problem for which the answer is not available at the end of the textbook. So the answer that you bring out also need not be a unique answer. In many cases, they need not be the unique answer. But this is where comes the importance of logic and evidence. So when you establish something, you make sure you prove that this is a solution, or this is one of the solutions, because of these evidences and because of these tests and trials and so on. But tomorrow somebody else may come up with a better solution, or may prove that the approach that we undertook today had certain flaws. And it is not about an individual or about a particular initiative. It is about the basic tenets of research. That research always believes that there is always room for finding some new avenues and new facts and figures, and most importantly, new knowledge. So this is how the society or the human endeavor for better life and better future progresses. And research is just a part of that. So I think those of you who are joining, who are a part of this initiative, will definitely stand to benefit from the discourses that you'll receive. Incidentally, I don't know whether they're present, but I just happened to scroll over the guest lecturers, the invited experts who are going to deliver lecture, and I find two of my former colleagues, Mr. Manas Mandal from Kharagpur and Raghunandan from IIT Kanpur. I'm sure all of you will stand to gain a lot from their discourses and lectures. Both are very eminent academicians, and so is also our own Professor Supratim Biswas from Computer Science Engineering. So I see quite a good list of very eminent scholars and academicians who are going to deliver lectures. Now, I may also suggest one other thing, that attending a workshop like this actually helps you to develop your approach, your philosophy. Please remember that when you do a doctoral study, you don't get a degree in geography or computer science or any other subject domain. You get a degree which is called Doctor of Philosophy. And this is the same abbreviation used for degrees obtained in an engineering institution or a humanities institution, management, or anywhere else. Why is it so? Whereas the first degree that we earn in our undergraduate is definitely a Bachelor of Arts or Commerce or Engineering, and that too with certain subject-specific domains, I mean, computer science, electrical. We know very well that the subject taught in a humanities domain and in engineering are entirely different. Similarly, what is taught in engineering will be completely different than what is taught for medicine. So at the undergraduate level, when we do need such distinction, subject to subject, domain to domain, and so on. But at the postgraduate, and that too finally at the PhD doctoral level, why is it all one single degree abbreviation? Is because there's no boundary. The knowledge that we create at the highest level is a body of knowledge or truth which actually is not confined to one single narrow domain, which can be applied in multiple domains, in multiple directions. So that's why the degree is called Doctor of Philosophy. So when we actually pursue such philosophical objective or endpoint, then we must realize that the training of an individual is also equally important as the final outcome of the exercise. So the thesis is important, the results are important, publications coming out of that are very important. Equally important is also my own preparation, because PhD is always the beginning of the research career and not the end of the research career. What it means is that I should get trained, I should develop sufficient confidence, and I should learn the methodology so well that not only I become a competent researcher myself, but I also can train in the future other researchers who wish to also pursue similar objectives. So I'm sure in this 5 days exercise, you'll learn all about that and possibly could make good progress in your own career. And BIT Mestra always will be very keen to actually associate with you in the future and see how we can actually pursue certain objectives of mutual benefit. I wish all of you very, very fruitful interaction. And at the end of this exercise, I'm sure you will carry home certain new thought processes, new level of competence, and most importantly, renewed enthusiasm to devote yourself for research and development. So I must thank PIT Lalpur Center, in particular its director, Dr. Vandana Bhattacharjee, and all the colleagues who are going to deliver lectures. And also, I'm sure that the participants themselves, who are faculty members and scholars from various places, also will add good value to the overall exercise. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thanks so much for your encouraging words. So, Dr. Satyajit, I think your vote of thanks by Dr.
Yes.
Heather. Yeah, that's
Yes.
the last thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Now I welcome Dr. Syed Anis Heather for the vote of thanks.
A warm and grateful good morning to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Director Madam, PIT off campus, and deans, HODs, guest speakers, dear teachers, scholars, and everyone gathered here. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir and other dignitaries. I, Dr. Syed Anis Heather, on behalf of BIT off campus and the entire fraternity of the institution, extended by my service thanks to Almighty for making today's event a grand success. Thank you so much to all of you. And let's meet at 2 p.m. our first session, which will begin with the topic selection, problem formulation, and literature review by Anugramni Priya, right? So please use the same URL for joining the sessions also. Thank you so much. Thanks to all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.